March 12th, 2023. You're listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. I am Kevin.
And I'm Don.
And we're back again. Don's still on his cell phone, so it's going to make swishy noises. And
swish, swish.
I'm on the computer. Yay, I'm kind of tired today. I got up and went to yoga. And then I went to, no, I didn't go to yoga. I went to a potluck at the yoga. And, there's nothing quite like eating food created by health nuts in their questionable kitchens. But it was all okay. It was all right. There's a lot of desserts because it's all women. Women like to make desserts. You know what I mean? There was a few food things, various kinds of salad, I just brought ice cream, just good old American ice cream. Didn't make it. You know what I mean? Just bought some ice cream and brought it because, have some ice cream.
Have a bucket of ice cream.
Right. And, so I did that and was tired after that. Just came home, took a nap, and it's kind of just like, blah. I've been doing laundry and was playing Dead Space and just kind of, that's it. That was my whole day. Nothing happened. Daylight savings, I think that's part of it too, right? It's normally.
I was going to say, that's it. Everybody says like, oh, daylight savings, it always messes me up. And I'm always like, whatever, dude. You just lose an hour, you just sleep, do whatever, you're fine. But like today, like you said today, I was just out of it. I was just like not feeling it. I'm like, I don't even want to feel it.
Yeah. They're supposed to I know they sent a bill through Congress that they were going to try to get rid of it. Get rid of standard time. Just keep daylight savings time. Yeah. All I'm saying is just I think I've mentioned this before. All they got to do is move the thing half an hour. Just move it over half an hour and then leave it alone. You get the 30 minutes of the standard time and the 30 minutes of the daylight savings. And then everybody's happy.
Just leave it there.
Just leave it there. Leave it alone. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Just put it in the middle. That's it. We're done. But no. Arizona knows what's up. They're just like, we're not doing this shit. We're just not doing it.
We're not bothering.
Hey, fuck. It's too hot. Think of the animals. The animals don't know. They're used to getting fed at the same time every day. They don't know. Suddenly the food's not there. They're like, why isn't the food there? They don't know. Sun's coming up same time. They're just like, he forgot about me. Forgot to feed me. So I was reading on the internet that on eBay, somebody was selling an oversupply of Girl Scout cookies that they had for $1 a box.
Right.
And the Girl Scout people were apparently not happy about that because, they like to sell them themselves for full price. But these were purchased from the Girl Scouts. They were just being resold for an extra $1. And, there was much kerfuffle. And I was thinking about it, and I think Girl Scout cookies are stupid. Now, there was a time, I'm sure, in the beginning when you could probably get them for $1 a box. And I think, there was probably, this sweet spot, maybe in the 90s or something, where they were, $2 and something a box. And people would buy them. I bought them. I'm sure you bought them. People would buy some that they liked. They had different flavors, of course. They always change them, though. But, they were doing good. Now they're 5 something a box or whatever the hell it is. And it's just, it's too much money, really, for what it is. And the thing is it's like the Girl Scouts sell them in order so they can go to camp. Right. So they can go and it helps pay for things. I get it. It's a, kind of like a charitable thing. But, it almost seems like it's like a, it's like a kind of begging or something. I don't know. I got to pause the show. Your phone's driving me nuts. All right.
Me?
I had to stop that swishing noise, Donnie. Yeah, but anyway, so it's like, okay, so the Girl Scouts, they used to go house to house door to door. Hey, you want to buy some groceries? I don't think they do a lot of that. Like I go places like to the grocery store, to Walmart and stuff. They're like camped out in front of those places, you know, they're selling them to people coming in and out, you know, and it's kind of like begging really, because, you know, you can go into the grocery store and, buy what, 100 different brands of cookies while you're in the grocery store. So like all of a sudden you're going to exit the grocery store and be like, oh, well, I'll pay twice as much for these
ones.
right. To help you girls, have a good time at camp. But I mean, if you really think about it, like, so it's like charity, right? So it's like, they're doing it for charity. They're really not doing it because they enjoy, I mean, there's, you know, some people like the cookie, but you're paying like way too much for it. And so you're doing it to give the money to the Girl Scouts. Okay. But, you know, why go through all of this circus? Like, why go through, like, just, you know, just like people want cookies, just go buy cookies at the store. All the brand, you know, all the flavors are basically at the store, you know? So it's just like, and then the Girl Scouts, they could just get charity, just, you know, have them stand out front with a bucket like the Salvation Army does and collect coins, you know, and ring a bell or something. Or, hey, mister, would you help us? Please give us money. I mean, I don't know. I don't think this is like the right way to go about it.
It's cookie prostitution.
If they, not that anybody would want to eat them, but if the girls had baked the cookies themselves, you know, in their own kitchen, because I think that's probably where it all started from, then it would be fine. But this is just like some weird corporate thing, you know, and in the people that run the Girl Scouts, I'm sure they get pretty good paychecks. And, you know, the bakery is making what, millions of cookies. They're getting paid, you know, crazy money, in order to do this kind of thing. And then, you know, they're putting it on the backs of these girls so these girls can go to camp. Yet meanwhile, before all of the Boy Scouts went out of business, Boy Scouts, right, didn't sell anything. I mean, occasionally there might have been something that they would do, but it was never like a routine thing. Boy Scouts you had dues. You just showed up and they were like, you got your dues this week, and you would pay your dues, and it wasn't very much. And that was it.
And the Boy Scouts, if they needed anything, they would just make it themselves.
Well, right. And they do sell kits, right? So you can get merit badges for certain things. Like I was a Weeblo, and I had to do a leather thing, you know, put together a little leather wallet, you know, and you had to pay for that. And it wasn't that expensive, but, you know, I'm sure there's a little bit of profit going back to the Boy Scout institution. And, you know, if you wanted to go do things, you had to pay for it. It's like pay to play, you know, you pay to do the thing. And the Boy Scouts, you know, then you would go get raped by a counselor. So I don't know, you know, whatever. But the thing is it's like, it worked fine for the Boy Scouts. I mean, it did. And the Boy Scouts was doing very well until they had all this corruption come in. But the Girl Scouts, you know, this cookie thing to me just seems like it's a racket, you know, and they don't really need the Girl Scouts to sell them. Like, think about it. The Girl Scout business could simply say, hey, let's bake these cookies and have grocery stores carry them in the grocery store. And we'll get some money, not as much because they can't overprice them, but we'll get some money from people buying the famous Girl Scout cookies in the grocery store. People will buy them, you know, especially if they're competitively priced. And then meanwhile, you just charge the girls to do dues so they don't have to go into this whole begging thing. And I know people are like, well, this teaches them how to, you know, work for their money
and how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And how to like get things going and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, you know, man, like there's other ways to do this, you know,
it teaches them to talk to strangers. And I don't want that.
I don't think there's anybody I've ever seen that said like, you know, I really got interested in sales when I was first working as a Girl Scout selling Girl Scout cookies. I mean, maybe there's one, but it's just, you know, it's just a burden. And I remember like when I was in 6th grade, right? And we had to sell candy bars so we could go to Mohican. It's like a park here it's kind of south of Cleveland a ways. And they have these cabins and the 6th grades would go. It's like different 6th grades would go. Most of the kids would go. Almost all the kids would go, basically. And you would learn how to canoe and um, I don't know, make a stool out of wood.
That's how to use a compass.
Yeah, compass, treasure hunt. And we were there for like what? Like not a whole week, but like 3 days or 4 days or something.
I was there for 5 days.
Okay, maybe 5 days. That's a long time. But yeah, right. So let's say we went for a school week, and but in order to get there, they were like, you've got to sell candy bars. Now I don't know if they still do this today, but at that time, I think you had to sell something like 50 candy bars, right? And I think they were $1 each, so it was like $50 in candy bars. And this was at a time period when a candy bar probably cost you between 25 and 40 cents at the store, right?
Yeah.
So $1 for a candy bar was a little expensive, but not crazy. I mean, people would buy one, but they usually weren't buying a whole box of them from you if you were going door to door, right? But
it always came.
Go ahead.
It always came with that free Sunday coupon on the back. So
right. Or I think later they had like a Burger King coupon or something. Buy one Big Mac, get one free, or buy one Whopper, get one free. But yeah. And so the thing is, though, like most kids, their parents are just overachievers. And they're just like, how many you got to sell, William? And they're like, I got to sell 50, that's fine. I'll buy all 50 and take them to work. You know what I mean? And
right.
Or they give them to their cousins and their nephews and stuff. Because I think you sell more of them, you get extra money you can spend at the commissary or some bullshit while you're there. I can't quite remember it all. But for me, living in a poor house kind of thing, my parents weren't buying us candy bars. I couldn't eat the candy bars I was selling. I wanted to, right? I wanted to eat the Crunch Bar, right? But I couldn't. I couldn't eat one because I didn't have the money. I didn't have $1 to buy the Crunch Bar. And I don't know, it never dawned on my stepmom's brain to be like, oh, did you guys want one of those? Well, and I wasn't the kind of kid that was going to be like, I don't know what happened. There was 25 in the box, and now that there's only 24, I don't know. I got chocolate on my mouth. I have no idea what happened. So I had to go door to door. I had to go sell these fucking things, and I did not get them all done because 50 is a lot. 50 is a lot going door to door when people might buy one. Right. So, I mean, it's just like people aren't home. Parents aren't there. People aren't interested. You got to give this pitch to everybody you go to. And so I probably sold maybe like 30. And I mean, that was it. I was tapped out at that point. And I was being threatened, like, you're not going to get to go. You need to sell those 20, bars or whatever. And it's just like, I just threw my hands up. I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I can't go, And so I forget, but they ultimately let me go. I don't know if they just took the candy bars back or what. And also I should point out, part of the problem as well was that I had a stepsister who was my age. So we were basically both trying to sell 100 bars to the same neighborhood, which made it way worse. And it just couldn't be done. And so, and I'm sure there was other kids, around or their parents were driving them to our street, you know what I mean? Like in canvassing. I mean, it was just fucking impossible. So, I ultimately ended up going to this thing. And then that sucked too, just because like I didn't have any extra money. I had no extra money. So I couldn't get a snack at that whatever that was, the commissary table or whatever. I couldn't buy like an Arrowhead, like some kids would pay like $1 or something and get like a fake Arrowhead.
I got one. I got an Arrowhead.
See? I didn't know, like they sent me there, Don, with nothing. For 5 days, I didn't have $1 to my name. Just you go and you do whatever the other kids do, but you aren't getting any money. It's fucking crazy, man. And so, like, it's all based on this begging thing, selling fucking shit. And I feel bad for the Girl Scouts. I just do.
Well, I remember I did the same thing, but I guess our school was different. Our elementary school must have been different from yours because it wasn't we didn't have to sell the candy bars. Um, it was just a way for us to make the money to go because otherwise our parents would just pay for it, you know? So the thing is they would give you I think I've told the story. They would give you the candy bars and they would say, okay, here's 50 candy bars. You owe us $25. So it's basically you have to pay 50 cents per candy bar. And then you get to keep the other 50 cents. And then you're supposed to take that money and you're supposed to use that to go to Mohican or, you know what I mean, to help pay for it or offset it or whatever. And it's supposed to teach the kids how to be entrepreneurs and blah, 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 and all that. Well, the thing is I would go out and sell a candy bar for $1. Then I would turn around and eat one because it was like, well, if I just got to pay 50 cents for the candy bar, this guy just gave me $1. I got 50 cents. I'm eating a candy bar. And I would just give him the whole $1. And so it was like, I ended up selling them all. My parents were like, so how much money did you make? And I was like, I got nothing. They were like, you sold all those candy bars and you don't have any money? I was like, nope. Because I ate it all in fucking chocolate bars. That's how I rolled. I found a scam. I was like, you know what? This will work. So that's what I did. And then my parents just ended up paying for the whole thing. They ended up paying for the whole trip or whatever.
Yeah, see, that's just, that wasn't, I would have been murdered.
It's funny how you were like, I was thinking the same thing about the Girl Scout cookies. Is like, if the organization itself was smart, they would do that. They would package and produce their cookies all year long.
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to once a year. And then that's probably why they can up the price because they're like, all right, they're here. The cookies are here for a month. You know, you got 1 month to get all the Samoas you want, or whatever they're called.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah. Right. There's a bunch of them, and some of them are unique, but then some of them are ripped off by Keebler and stuff. But it's like,
and then they should just pay for the kids to go on the camp. They should just be like, look,
right.
sold all these cookies.
Right.
Distribute the money through everybody.
It's just feeding the executive branch of the organization to, and their administration costs and everything. But again, for people that are like, well, they need it so they can, again, the Boy Scouts did it without selling anything. Right. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, the brownies, they don't sell brownies. Brownies aren't selling Girl Scout cookies. Brownies are brownies. And somehow the brownie organization still happens. 4-H club, they're not selling like, I don't know, horses or something. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like Girl Scouts though, they're enslaved to sell cookies. And
people go crazy for them. People are like,
I'm not saying that some people don't like the cookies. Some people do, but it gives them an excuse to buy the cookies is what it is.
Right. It's a one-time thing every year.
Yeah. And then they're just like, they're helping out the kids and stuff. So they don't feel so bad about spending the money, and then they can fatten up eating the cookies. But again, the mom that's super organized, that's got the Walmart table or the Giant Eagle table or whatever grocery store you want to pick, and has the multiple kids out there pitching and hollering and selling them all day, like, yeah, they're gonna make a fucking killing, you know what I mean? But but I'm telling you, there's a kid like me out there. There's some girl out there with a bunch of cookies that she can't sell because nobody where she lives wants them. Could you imagine living like in like East Cleveland trying to sell Girl Scout cookies? No one's buying them. No one's buying them. You know what I mean? Like you're not going door to door. No one's buying them at the grocery store. You're fucked. You're fucked. You're not selling.
If anything, you're getting robbed of them.
Yeah, right. They're stealing your money and your cookies. You're like, give me that sash too. I'll sell that. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's, there's neighborhoods where you just can't do it. It's insane. So I just feel like it's just an unfair thing. Anyway, I don't, this was just a weird topic I wanted to bring up, but it was kind of timely. It was in the news. It was just like one of those things. And I was just like, I think that thing's, I've always thought it's bullshit. And people that are worried, don't worry about it because like those cookies aren't going to go anywhere. Even if the Girl Scouts went out of business, somebody's going to still sell and market those cookies because, money walks, shit talks, whatever. Money talks, shit walks, whatever the fuck it is. And
It's a bullshit one.
right, fuck it, So I signed up for college online again.
Buying a college.
Online college. Well, a university. I have like basically an associate's from an online college from like 2004 or something. And it was an online college, but it didn't, the accreditation was like one of these distance accreditation schools and everything. And I found that I wouldn't be able to transfer my credits to a local school, like say Tri-C, right? That's our community college here. Because the accredits didn't, they just don't take them. They're not the same kind of accreditation or whatever that they would accept. So that was a bit of a bummer. And I didn't really need the degree. I already had a job and everything, but I felt like it would be nice that if I didn't have the job, I would at least have some sort of an education that I would plop down on my resume, which I've done ever since. It's just an associate. It's not a bachelor's or anything. And it was just an online thing. It took a while for me to do it, though. It was still painful. I had to do the work, and it was online in the early days. There was no lectures or labs. It was mostly, getting textbooks, reading the textbooks, and then taking online quizzes. That was essentially all it was. But it was, boring, like most schoolwork. But I managed to get through like most of it. It was like the last course, the last test, I just gave up. I could have got the associates, but I didn't because I just didn't take the final test. I did take the final test, but see, the way this worked was when you're taking your finals, just the finals, it wasn't done online. You had to do like whatever the assignment was and then mail it in. And this was the very last class was systems analysis and design, and you had to design a flow chart, right? And like they spell out everything that they want this flow chart to do or whatever and have on it and all this sort of stuff, but they don't tell you where everything's supposed to go. You're just supposed to like put this all together, etc. And then when you send it in, they tell you if it's pass or fail. And you're allowed to retake it as many times as necessary in order for you to pass, but they give you no assistance, no hint, no nothing of what you did wrong, nothing. So with a flow chart, it's just kind of like I have no one to work with and I have nothing to go on. It's kind of like I'm looking at it and I'm just like, I already have a job. I've kind of come as far with this as I'm going to do. I can't keep sending this thing in and just, getting rejected because I don't know, I don't know what's wrong with it. So I ultimately botched that last thing. So my career has not needed it at all. And it doesn't really need it now. But, one of the things I've been thinking about now that I'm like in my 50s, basically, is the fact that like, probably should get into management at some point here. I still have at least another 14 years of work to do. And, in order to, before normal retirement. And, I figure like, I could probably get into a management role at PNC without it, but it might be easier if I had it, kind of thing. And the thing is that PNC's paying for all of it. So it's kind of like, well, I guess I'll just do it. I got more time than anything. I mean, I'm a busy guy with the 2 jobs, but at the same time, it's like, I don't see my girlfriend a whole lot. So especially right now. And so it's kind of like, I don't got anything else to do. So I figure I might as well just study. And most of it, I mean, I'm taking a course on business management and leadership. And I think I'll probably be able to do fine with that anyway, because my associates had a lot of business management stuff in it to begin with, and it had accounting and the math and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to they're actually going to take my credits and I'm waiting to hear what the result is of that. Like they will accept them for transfer. I just don't know how many credit hours they actually transfer into. So that's where I'm at with it right now, and I haven't signed up for anything, and it's going to kick off in like May or June, depending on whatever. And I think it's mostly just going to be me reading and then answering questions. And, my worst thing about any kind of studying is just I'm terrible at memorization. I have a great memory. But it's for things that I actually care about.
Right.
And if you give me things that I have to just read that I'm not interested in, it does not sink in. So, and also it's like I've learned over the years that like textbooks do this thing where like, you read all the text and then they have all these like weird areas where things are like in like, I don't know. They're like on the side. There'll be like things that are like highlighted, etc. And I think they're trying to give you clues about what's going to be on the test when they give you these little highlighted things. But still, at the end of the day, it's just kind of like you got to have some kind of like interest in the subject, or otherwise you're just not going to retain it and be able to answer it. And some people are actually very good at that, like very good. Like we did an interview with a guy who knew everything about our software package because I think like he memorized the product. Like he memorized the product and all of the things that it did and its functionality and all this sort of stuff. But when we asked him like actual like questions in the sense of how would you handle this situation? This comes up, blah, blah, blah. Where would you do? He would just kind of recite things that he had memorized, about the program. He had no real world experience. And so we didn't end up hiring the guy, but I was just like, geez, man, the guy's like spent all this time, like memorizing everything about this product, probably memorized the instruction manual and all this sort of stuff. And, I'm just not that way. I don't have that. Whatever that is, I wasn't given that as a gift. Like, here, remember every boring thing you just read for this test that's coming up. It's terrible.
It's like an elementary school book report. You're basically just writing everything off the back of the book, and you can recite that, and you can tell everybody this is the story of this book, and they'll be like, well, "What does that mean to you?" You'd be like, "I don't know. It was a story."
I really struggled for the longest time in like fourth grade with the multiplication tables. We would do the flashcards all the time. And, it'd always be like, if it was 5 times 5, I knew that was 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then if it was like 7 times 8 or 7 times 9, I would sit there and just be like, or 6 times 8. I'd just be like, I don't know. Like I could not memorize it, and I could do that in my head. Don't get me wrong. I could put together 6 8s and come up with it, but we were doing flashcards. You can't sit there and be like 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 16
more
is
time
32,
to think about it.
32 plus 32 is 64. Right. You don't have the time to do it. And so it was like, I used to sweat the multiplication tables, man. I just hated it. But eventually I got it, but it took a long time. And just all kinds of things in school like that for me was like really difficult for me to memorize anything. I don't know, just wasn't good at it. Had a lot of discipline leveraged on me in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And 7th grade in order to, get through school. But, and then it all went downhill when I met girls in high school. But, by that point I had known enough stuff that I could get out of high school barely.
And that's right, folks. He didn't know any girls before high school.
It wasn't interesting. That's the thing. I was a late guy to puberty. I hit puberty in California in 9th grade. Like in elementary school, I was best friends with Rob Whalen, and Rob Whalen had hit puberty in 6th grade, and he used to get pissed off. Remember, we were just talking about Mohican. He said He says, I hate going to these fucking places, man. Kids are laughing at me in the shower about fucking, oh, you got hair on your balls. Ha!
Yeah, I do, and you don't.
Yeah, I know, right? But like he had hit it in 6th grade, man. I had hit it in 9th grade. I had it late. And that's hard because before you hit it as a boy, you're just like a kid. You're just still a kid, really. I mean, you're riding your bike around and everything. It's the strangers things kind of thing, You're playing with toys and stuff. And then one day you hit puberty, and then suddenly you're interested in girls and Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know. It just it all changes. You're interested in different things.
Your Mohican experience was completely different. You're like, yeah, he's all embarrassed because he's got this. I actually, because we had, because you had to live in these cabins.
Yeah.
And they would mix the schools together. So it's like, I don't know these kids. I know they would put me in with a couple kids from my school and a couple kids from some other school or whatever. And I remember going to the showers the one day, and this kid was walking around, and he's got his hand over his junk, like over his dick and his balls. And he's like pulling them down, and he's got some hairs down there, and he's like, check it out, everybody, check it out. I got hairs. Look at it. What was he saying? He goes, look and remember. That's what he kept saying. He kept walking around going, look and remember, look and remember. And I was just like, why does this guy want me to look at his nut? But it's just weird because you had the exact opposite. You were like, Rob Whalen's like, no, don't look at me. Don't point at me. And I'm sitting there in the room with the guy who's like putting it in my face, like, get out of here. I don't want to see that.
Right. Yeah. No, and, it's
puberty. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. It was a hard time. Not puberty. Well, hard time to get it, but
I'm still waiting to hit it.
Puberty is like I grew like 11 inches in 1 year, something crazy. Like I shot up, got tall. I wasn't that tall when I had gone into high school. That was a weird time for me too, because like basically I came back from California and they had lost my transcripts and I had to restart 9th grade, and I entered homeroom with this guy who I didn't know.
Shouldn't have put them pentagrams on your folder.
And it was him and Bailey. And I didn't have a class with Korber, but he ended up walking home with us, or walking home with me occasionally.
You had an OWA.
I was just talking about this weird scenario that happened to me 2 times in my life, and there's nothing to this, but I just talked about this, and it dealt with the same time periods. So I just wanted to mention it because I thought this was weird. And I was talking to somebody I know about this, like an ex-girlfriend from a while ago. And I never realized it at the time when I was in school of what this actually meant. And you'll recognize the second one. Although I don't know if you remember, you probably won't remember the incident, but you'll remember the people. Like, so in 8th grade, okay, I was in home ec. I think everybody had to take home ec in 8th grade when I went to school. And we had to share a table, and it was Don Cease, myself, some other nerdy kid, right, that was there, and these 2 girls, and they were 2 or 3 girls, and they were really bitchy, and they were making fun of Cease because, he just kind of would ask for it. The hate. I mean, just some of the things he would do, which were just really geeky and nerdy, and this one girl was like, she's like, I would not go out with him or him, and she points at me and she's like, I would try it with him, but not those 2 guys. And she said something like, whatever, and I was mostly just sitting there thinking to myself, like, well, thank God I'm not getting picked on. Right. But what I didn't realize was that what she was basically saying to me at that point was like, I would date you. You should ask me out. You know what I mean? Not that I wanted to date her, but like I could have. Right. But I hadn't reached puberty yet. You know what I mean? I wanted to go home and play G.I. Joe and shit. Like, I want to play Commodore 64. I didn't want to fucking date anybody. Am I going to pick her up on my bicycle? I didn't drive. It's ridiculous. So, and the funny thing is, folks, is I went through high school, dated a lot of girls, and didn't drive. So don't ever let a car stop you from hooking up. So that happened to me, right? And then when we were in ninth grade, when we were leaving OWA, and you know how you would walk across the fields towards the junior high, right? And go down that one path where they hide the nuclear missiles under the football field. And Carrie Howe's walking, right? You know, and she was pregnant. And some other girl was there, maybe Rhonda Nelson, somebody, you know, and some other girl. And there was like a few of us, again, walking away. Not you. I don't think you, because you wouldn't have gone that way. I don't think. Unless you like were smoking at that time and needed cigarettes or something, you wouldn't go that way. But Carrie Howe said the exact same thing. She was just like, I didn't know Carrie Howe. I didn't want to know Carrie Howe. You know what I mean? Right. She was not in my OWA class. She was in first period. I guess she was in second. Was she in second? Maybe. And so maybe I had her in second. And she said the same thing. She was like, I would date you, or I wouldn't date that guy or that guy, but I would try it with him. And I'm, again, in my brain, I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, like, thank God she's not fucking picking on me, you know, her and Jeannie Reike or something. And again, it was probably just some sort of thing, like she was saying, you know, I totally did you. Like, she's pregnant. I'm gonna hook up with, you know what I mean? That's ridiculous. Like, no. Yeah.
It's like you're a freshman in high school or a sophomore in high school and you're pregnant. Right. I'll pass.
Right. Exactly. But I had those two things happen to me, like, you know, subsequently. And you would think that, like, I might have, like, developed some kind of an ego about it, but I never really thought about it ever again. But I did remember both of those, because I think it was because those were both, like, kind of stressful situations, because, like, people were being picked on. You know what I mean? And you don't want to be targeted, kind of thing. So you're kind of like, it kind of sits in your memory for a while. You know, everybody kind of remembers bullies and things like that. And the thing is that, like, especially in 8th grade, girls are no longer girls in 8th. I mean, they're women. They hit puberty in like 6th grade or before, you know? So by 8th grade, I mean, they've already been like women for a while. Like, I'm still a kid, Cease still a kid, etc. But, you know, we're being picked on by grown women. It's weird. Middle school is probably the worst time. It's probably the worst time of your life as a male, especially, because your body's going through all these changes. You start to get acne. You start to stink. You know, you gotta change your clothes all the time and stuff, like, you know, in the gymnasium and things. Otherwise, you're gonna reek.
Talking like Bobby Brady all day.
Yeah, your voice is cracking. It's just a bad time. And then at the same time, you have this puberty problem, because there's some kids like Rob Whalen that hit it early, so they're like men in, you know what I mean? Like,
mustaches and beards.
Yeah, they're like bigger dudes, man, in school, and you're still like a kid, and all the women are older, you know what I mean? And you know, you're supposed to like be into women, but at that time, you know, if you haven't hit puberty or something, you're just kind of like, especially in 7th grade, you're just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go home and play toys. It's a terrible time. It's terrible. Yeah. And things change when you get to high school, but yeah.
Side note, one time, since you brought her up, Carrie Howe, one time she was hanging out with Rom's neighbor or something like that over on his street. And I was over there and I was like, hey, you know, if you switch the first 2 letters of her name, it's Harry Cow. And she got pissed. Tried to beat me up. That was after she was pregnant, I think.
Yeah. I'm sure there's all these things I just try to avoid when it comes to people's names, because some things just jump out at you like that. You know what I mean? It's like, they've probably heard it. I ain't going to bring it up.
I didn't think of it. My dummy ass, I was like, well, she'll think it's funny. No, she did. She would chase me down. She wanted to fight me and stuff. I was like, I'm not fighting a girl.
Pregnant girl.
So I knocked her out.
Pregnant? Visibly pregnant. Her and Jeannie.
Yeah, 2 of them. at the same time.
when school already started. So they got knocked up in the summer between 8th grade and 9th. Well, Jeannie was a 10th grader, but Carrie wasn't. Between 8th grade and 9th, they got knocked up. Like,
two at the same time in the same class.
Yeah. Two pregnant girls at the same time in the class. And it's just like, because again, like I didn't even,
right.
It's just
at that time I hadn't even barely
right. I mean,
or whatever.
No, I had hit puberty already because I had been, I'd already been through 9th grade one time. So I mean, it was a different thing for me. But at the same time, I'm just like thinking to myself, like, how do you? I don't know. It's like, how do you get? I know how you get knocked up, but I'm just like, how does that happen so quickly for you? Like, you know all the rules. Like, what are you doing? What are you? But hey, I don't know. To each their own. Shit happens. Right. It's one of those things. But yeah, that's a strange time for being a kid. Just going through that horrible shit of puberty.
I bet you both those kids are messed up. Jeannie Reicke's kids and Carrie's kids. They're both messed up.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it works out where the kids have, because the parents are still involved, the grandparents kind of thing. And so then the kids end up being these like well-rounded achievers and all this sort of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying though. I mean, it's hard to say. The ones that seem like they get really messed up are the ones like the celebrities and their kids. Like celebrities' kids, like sadly, a lot of times you read about them and they've either like committed suicide or they've had like crazy drug problems and just and you just wonder to yourself, like, you have all the money in the world, and it's like you can't you can't solve this situation somehow. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe, they just all went to like some sort of schools in California or something where they just, it was hollow.
It would seem to me that most people who have a lot of money get very bored very easily. Because that always seems to be the thing with like where you hear like these rock stars or the movie stars or these people that are like, well, yeah, I'm living this elaborate lifestyle and spending all this money and stuff, but man, that gets boring after a while. To which I say, excuse me? Like, what? No. If I had the money, I wouldn't let myself get bored,
Right.
Like,
no, I mean, I think it is always interesting to me that there are people who have enormous amounts of wealth and they choose to continue to work rather than retire. Like, like the Warren Buffett, the guy's like one of the richest men in the world. And he's still running Berkshire Hathaway at 92 years of age. Charlie Munger as well. And, Bill Gates really old, a lot of these guys. And it's just kind of like, first of all, I think like, I almost feel like there should be a law that says when you hit a certain age, like 70 or something, that you should be forced into retirement so other people can have an opportunity to have your job, but that'll never happen. And I'm mostly kidding. I realize if you built your business, you should be able to work on it the rest of your life. But it's just I can't get it around my head because there's just like things I want to do and things I want to see, and I can't imagine just going through life and being like, yeah, I don't really want to own anything else, Yeah. I drive the same car I've been driving for the last 15 years, and I've been living in the same house for 30 years. And, it's just kind of like, dude, you're not coming back, like this is your opportunity now.
I'm holding it for you.
And yeah. And you're not, there's no, I mean, maybe you're a Buddhist and you believe you're coming back, but I don't think so. Like most of these guys, you're not going to get to do it again. So if you wanted to experience a lot of different things that are out there, if you wanted to, maybe you wanted to try Chick-fil-A one day. You're like, you know what? I've never had Chick-fil-A. Maybe I'll try it and see what it's like. But there's just people out there that are just like, nah, I want the same thing I eat every day. Right. I can't get my head around that. Like that to me is bonkers because No, I gotta mix shit up all the time.
I like, because back in the day, I don't know how it was for you, but in elementary school, I used to pack, I'd pack a lunch and I would always eat peanut butter and jelly. And then, like when I started working for my brother, when I was working in the steel mill and stuff, I'd always take a lunch in with me. So I'd make like turkey sandwiches, take some chips. You know what I mean? It was pretty much your basic lunch thing. And I would eat this like every day. And I was like fine with it. I was like, it was no problem. I started working at this job and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start bringing my lunches in again. I'm making these turkey sandwiches. I'm making like peanut butter and jelly. I'm doing like, I'm like doing whatever I can, just take food in to eat. And I can't do it. Like I can't make it through the day. I'm just like, oh my God. Like by Wednesday, I'm like, my God, I'm so sick of turkey. Like, why did I make 2 more of these sandwiches? What am I stupid? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's my metabolism or something. I don't know, but it's just funny that I used to be able to do that like all the time. You know what I mean? It's like as a kid, you could survive on PB&J or grilled cheeses or something like, but like nowadays you're just like, you eat one of them. You're like, nah, I'm done. I'm good for a couple weeks.
No, I mean, yeah. The only thing I could eat routinely, and even that has its limits, is maybe a breakfast. Like if I buy a box of cereal, I don't eat cereal anymore, but if I did, I bought a box of cereal, I could eat that box of cereal each morning for maybe a week, and I could do the breakfast thing.
Most definitely.
But in terms of like lunch or dinner, like I cannot eat the same, even if I really like something. Like, even if I really like the meatball subs at Little Caesars, if we had gone Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you're like, it's Thursday, and you're like, hey, you want to go? I'd be like, no. Right. I'd just be like, they're great, man, but I need a break. Let's go get a chicken sandwich or something, Like, fuck, man, I can't handle this no more. But we were sensible. We only went on 2 for Tuesday. Because I can't eat the same thing all the time. If I had to eat one food like religiously and I didn't care about my health or anything like that, I would probably just eat pizza. Because it's probably the one food that I've probably eaten the most of in my life, and it's like, you could mix it up a number of different ways and, I would certainly get sick of it, but I'm just saying like it would probably be the one food that I would get sick of the least out of all the other foods, but probably also the most unhealthy one that I could eat. So, did you watch anything on the TV lately?
Well, I was just going to ask you. Now you confused me by asking me a question.
Okay.
Well, I watched The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I haven't started that yet. Is it any decent so far?
It's basically the same,
Yeah.
I find it hard. This is just a personal thing, and it's not a game changer. This doesn't make me want to turn it off, or this doesn't want me make it's not like I hate this because of this or nothing like that. But I find it hard to watch a show where you can't watch the people's mouths move.
Oh, because he's got the helmet on. They won't let him take the helmet off. He had a big fight about that last year. They were talking he was going to quit the show.
Well, that's the whole basis of this season is about him taking, he's leaving his helmet on purpose.
Yeah, because that's the group he's in. I understand what you're saying.
But you'd be like, well, what about a guy with a mask? I can see your mouth moving under there. You know what I mean? It's like, I know you have a mouth. Otherwise, it's just this dude walking around with no motion in his face going, I'm here for the kid. And you're just like, where's that voice coming from? I don't know. It confuses.
Well, the funny thing is about, people, I don't know if everybody knows this, but when you're making movies and television shows, the actors on set will of course be acting, and they'll read their lines, etc. But when they're actually filming those scenes, that's typically not the voices that you're hearing. They actually go to the sound room later or whatever and re-record their dialogue, and then that gets lined up with what they're saying in the film. So, it's weird in that way because what you're hearing isn't actually what they're saying, although it is what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody notices. And part of the reason is because film and television is recorded at 24 frames per second rather than like video games where we all want to have like 60 frames per second. And that 24 frames offers enough gap that you almost can't tell when words don't meet the lips and all that kind of stuff, you know? I mean, if the audio's too far away, we all notice it. But if it's like overdubbed kind of thing, you don't, you know? It's just kind of an interesting thing. I get what you're saying about the Mandalorian. I mean, it's a Star Wars thing. It you know, it's this particular.
Yeah, other than that, it's okay. Still haven't seen Ant-Man because I just believe that I pay for Disney Plus, so I'll just watch it then.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's like all the other ones in the sense of that it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's just kind of I don't think Marvel's doing themselves any favors with a lot of these movies lately being just kind of basic. You know, I mean, they throw the budget at the special effects and everything, and of course they're paying these actors good money to be in these things, but it's these storylines I'm finding to be rather weak, and maybe that's just how it is. I mean, they're comic books, you know, and we can't all have like Nolan's Dark Knight kind of thing, like, you know, the layers of complexity, especially when you want to have young kids go and see these things. I mean, maybe there's just a trade-off there that it's just going to always be these kind of basic storylines. I do miss the more mature stuff that we saw with the Netflix Marvel universe. I don't know what we've heard that they're going to do the Daredevil reboot with like some ridiculous number of episodes in the first season. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Jessica Jones again, but I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't even know. I don't even know if they have any other interesting properties that they could make adult that we would care about. You know what I mean? Like Iron Fist and Luke Cage, but who else would?
Punisher.
Yeah, Punisher, of course. I mean, and they'll probably bring that back too at some point. Although it's Punisher, I like the Punisher, but it's very one-dimensional storyline, really. I mean, it's a revenge thing. You know, he's angry guy and he's going to kill guys in the most brutal way possible. He's like if they did a show like his, they could do it like an A-Team type of thing, or like an Incredible Hulk kind of thing, where he's just there and he runs into the trouble and he goes, "Well, I'll help you." You know what I mean? So like each episode would be a different, you know. Yeah.
Here's the town that's being held down by this guy, or here's, you know what I mean? So,
right.
As opposed to trying to tell, like you said, he's one dimensional.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of trying to tell one huge arcing long story about this guy, just hit us with what we know. You know what I mean? It's like he's going to go kill the bad guys, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to. I don't want 50 million flashbacks to his kids in the park.
Yeah,
it's like, I get it. They're all dead. They got murdered and all that stuff. It's like, it's sad. It sucks. But, you know, you're starting to tread into Spider-Man territory now.
Well, it's also just like, you know, the villains are so not Kingpin,
criminals.
They're
not superheroes.
But a lot of these criminals are also very one-dimensional. They're just bad dudes. You know what I mean? They make these Italian guys. They're just real sort of cookie cutter slapstick kind of thing. Where again, I thought when they did it with Luke Cage and they had Diamondback and Copperhead and all that kind of stuff, that was a little bit more interesting. They weren't as one dimensional actors, you know. But I don't know. I mean, that's you know, when you have a world like we live in the world now. Where you ever see John Wick films? Do you watch the John Wick films?
I know about them, but I've never seen one.
You really should.
I've seen clips and stuff.
It's really good. It's really really simple in the sense of it's the same kind of thing, but it's like it moves fast and it's has great choreography with these fights, and it's really entertaining. And you don't really have to listen to Keanu Reeves talk very much, which is nice. There's just not a lot of banter. It's just, you know, mostly just a lot of action, really, and you know, it's what the Punisher, you know, probably would be in this day and age. You know, he's still kind of stuck in almost like a 1980s kind of, you know, die hard revenge killing thing, and it's it just needs some sort of if you're going to keep it going, it needs something else, and here to Disney, don't bring a kid in. He doesn't need a kid.
Right.
Don't bring the kid to help out the Punisher, like
or a dog.
Yeah. Right. No cutesy alien, no animal thing or anything. Just it could be like maybe he joins a group of mercenaries, and you take that with the modern politics and stuff, and maybe do something with that. I don't know. That would be more along the lines I'm thinking. We don't need him just to be the Punisher with a sidekick, because fuck, we got enough of that. Oh my God, no thanks.
Like the vigilante from Peacemaker. You saw Peacemaker, right?
Yeah.
Like his buddy, who's just like a complete tool. The guy's just like an idiot.
Yeah.
But he kills people. He's like really good at killing people. Right. He's just like, oh, I was, like give one of those. If you gave that guy to the Punisher, it'd be all over. It'd be like, no, Frank Castle would kill him. He would just be like, I'm done with you.
That's the beauty of Big Trouble in Little China, is the fact that it was like the buddy cop movie, but instead of like filming it from the perspective of the hero, which was the Asian dude, they filmed it from the viewpoint of the comic relief character, which was Kurt Russell, and just nobody got it. Nobody got it when it came out. You know what I mean? It didn't do well. It took years of it being on VHS and everything, and for people to finally understand what John Carpenter's vision there was, that film. But it was that was brilliant. At a time when there was just nothing but buddy cop films back then, man. So it's crazy, man, crazy. So you gonna go buy some Girl Scout now?
I've had people calling me, being like, "Hey, who do you know? Do you know somebody who's selling Girl Scout cookies?"
Well, you've got a little girl, Well, she's not that little anymore, but it's probably not Girl Scouts, but
she's not doing it. But my niece's daughter was. That's what it turns out. Somebody called me and was asking. I was like, "Well, my niece's daughter's selling Girl Scout cookies, and I can send out a link if anybody wants to order some."
I don't know. Like, I work with at least 50% Indian people in my company, and I don't have any idea if Indian girls participate in Girl Scouts. I mean, they probably do, I guess, but I don't know. And I would just, so my point is that I don't know if any of the fathers would be bothered to bring in like an order form or anything and leave it in the cafeteria. I don't see anything like that where I'm at. It's just
they probably have enough family.
It's just very sterile when it comes to, there's nobody asking me to buy a popcorn tin or anything at work. My girlfriend's kid, but she's not really in the Girl Scouts, but her school is charitable, so they're always trying to get you to, although some of that stuff is way too expensive. They're like a $10 ball, we're going to have a dance thing. It's $250 a ticket. Like, what is Kiss playing? I'm not going.
Yeah.
Going for $250 a ticket, man. It's crazy money.
I got this dude at work. He's like, hey, my basically his kid. He's like, he's like a stepdad or whatever. He's like, he goes, my kid's selling popcorn, and I'm going around selling it and stuff. And I'm like, oh, really? And he goes, yeah. And I don't mind supporting the kids.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'll go ahead and throw out $5-10, whatever,
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend's niece was selling lemonade one day. She was like, I'm sitting, there's a lemonade stand, and they put it online. And I went over there and I was like, here's $5. And she's like, well, hold on. I got to get you $4.50 and change. I was like, just keep it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, don't worry about it. Just go. Yeah. So,
but I better get a big lemonade. No, yeah, I get you.
I'd be like, I better get a free refill. So this dude at work, he's like, yeah, my kid's selling popcorn. And if she sells 50 bags, she gets a free mini fridge, which he wanted. He was like, which I will take and fill with Dr. Peppers, and I will use it in my basement, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, for the longest time, I was like, I'm not buying popcorn so that you can get a fridge from your kid. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll help the kid get a fridge.
Right.
But I'm not helping you get the fridge. Right. And he's like, oh, come on. So like every day I walked into work, he was on me. He was just like, dude, I only need to sell 4 more. I only need to sell 3 more. Da, 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 da. And he would tell other people at work, and I would come up behind him and be like, he only wants it for his own fridge. He doesn't want it for the kid. It's not for the, don't listen to him.
Jamming him up.
So, yeah, it was the greatest. And so, so finally, on the last day, I was like, all right, well, I'll help the kid out. Here's $10. Give me, I'll order a bag of popcorn. Give me whatever, caramel corn, whatever. Here's, whatever it is, $10. And I know this is going to be like the smallest bag of popcorn. It's going to be like a Cracker Jack box that I just paid $10 for. And it's just going to suck. But now every day that he comes into work, I go up to him immediately. I go, where's my popcorn? And he's just like, it's not ready yet. And I go, listen, man, you bug me every day for $10. I'm going to bug you every day for popcorn. So every day he comes in, I'm like, where's my popcorn, Bobby? Bobby, where's my popcorn? He's like, it's coming. I need time, man. It's 2 weeks. So there's, if you want to sell me something, I'm going to buy it, but I'm probably going to yell at you most of the time.
Yeah. No, I don't like popcorn. I'll eat some movie theater popcorn kind of thing. But I don't want like candied popcorn or chocolate covered popcorn or any of that, like caramel corn. I know some people do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth it or anything. I'm just not really into it. Like I don't like it. Like I just don't like. It doesn't do it for me. It's like it's too airy or something. It just feels like it's too like not. It doesn't have like a right amount of substance or something. Now don't get me wrong. If I was starving to death, like when I was a kid and I had to eat, and someone's like, "You want some caramel corn?" I'd be like, I'd eat the shit out of it because I didn't get anything. It's like when I was telling people like original Doritos, they tasted amazing. For some reason, like the Doritos that we got in the late 70s and the early 80s,
way different
and really addictive. Like they were like
cheesy.
You could just pound a bag and feel bad about it, but you would pound a bag of those things by yourself like in no time. And that's not how they are today. I mean, I'll still enjoy a Dorito, but it's not that whatever that was back then.
Right.
It was totally different. It was
when they used to wrap the ho-hos individually in tinfoil.
Much better, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
like, what did you do? Jerks. So you don't like Cracker Jack?
Not really. Even when I was a kid, I only wanted the toy surprise and I didn't really like the Cracker Jack. I actually ate the nuts.
Yeah, I like the
but I didn't really eat the popcorn very often. It just doesn't do it for me. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I can eat anything. So if I had to eat it, don't get me wrong. I'm not like somebody that's like, I can't eat it. I'm allergic to it. It doesn't. You don't like it. Yeah. I just don't really care for it. Yeah.
Which is fine. Some people like ketchup. Some people like mustard. It happens. You got to get over it.
Yeah. And again, if I was hungry and I was sitting around, you had a bowl of Cracker Jack, which nobody has, but if you did, I'd be
all stale.
I'd be sitting there eating it, looking for the toy surprise in the box.
What's out a bowl of popcorn as a snack? Get out of here.
Remember, you used to get the toy surprises, and you get a magnifying glass or a compass or something tattoos. Cool. But and the tattoos. Everybody wanted the tattoos. Those were great. But then sometimes you just get like a comic or something. You'd be like, "What is this? That's bullshit." You feel like you got ripped off because you got some stupid or a little book of jokes or something. It's just like this is the worst toy surprise ever.
People would always be like, I love Bazooka Joe gum. And it's like, first of all, you're getting a stupid 2-panel cartoon when you open the thing up, which doesn't really give you anything. And the gum is so hard.
It was so hard. It was like a freaking brick, man. Yeah. I used to eat a lot of that stuff though when they used to have grape and they used to have grape flavor and cherry and regular bubblegum flavor. And when I lived in California, when I used to go visit in California in the summertime, we used to go to 7-Eleven and you could get one block of that gum for $0.05. And I was like, I can scrape together $0.05. So it was like something I could get. Most other stuff you couldn't get. So I ate a lot of that gum. It's a big sugar rush, basically. Then it just turns stale and ends up on the sidewalk somewhere, in the bottom of somebody's shoe. All right, well, we're over, everybody. Sorry this one was just a little bit random, but I didn't have too much going on. But I think we had a pretty good time talking.
Some people like that.
We will be back next week with more, and we got next weekend is Bailey's birthday, his 50th. St. Patrick's Day is Friday, although I'm not really planning on doing anything. And I also have to go to a housewarming party that day, and then my nephew's party is Sunday, I think. I have to talk to my ex-sister-in-law and great nephew and see if that's happening. So I will have some stuff to talk about next week. My brother has COVID, everyone, although he's fine, and he has bronchitis at the same time. And so far he's fine, but he's out of work right now. So I only know one person that hasn't had COVID. Just one person out of everybody I know. Only one.
He's got COVID and bronchitis, and he's still on Facebook posting about the movies that he's watching.
Yep. This kid's got it too. I don't know if Jody's got it. Jody would be the only one I'd really be kind of concerned about, just because she's not necessarily a beacon of health. That's his girlfriend. And, that this thing works weird on different people, but I'm pretty sure they're all vaccinated. So I don't think there's too much to worry about. They're just feeling like garbage. There's also some kind of flu going around that seems, and I don't know if it's actually a flu or it's people that don't know how to take the COVID test and it's just COVID again. Yeah. Because people are all like, I took the test and it came up negative, and then, that's even what happened with my brother. And then he went to work and then he was like, I can't work anymore. He came home and then he went to the doctor and the doctor was like COVID, and it's just like, I think people take the test too early. They start to immediately feel bad. They take the test because that's what happened with you. Remember when you first had it, the first time you took the test, it didn't come up with anything. And then you waited a few days or whatever. And then you took it again and it was positive, And, but I don't know. But I do realize there is a flu going around, but, this particular flu that's in our area seems a lot like COVID to me. Like it's just like really bad cough and taking people down like hard. And sometimes the flu can do that, but I don't know. So far I've managed to dodge both. I know I won't get lucky forever. I'll catch it because I do go out, but so far so good. Anyway, I don't want to keep you. Have a good night, everybody, or day, or enjoy your work. And we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our patrons. See ya.
Peace.
You've been listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to oblast@vgn.us. That is VGN as in video game news. And be sure to check out our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/VGN, where you can get all of our shows, our videos, and some musings. Be sure to tune in each week for new episodes on our Patreon page or every other week on the public RSS feed that you're subscribed to now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Peace.